If anybody knows, if anybody knows where Connor Stallions is, please, for the love of God, send his ass to Ann Arbor, Michigan. Please. They need him bad. 100 yards of offense in the first half for Michigan against Fresno State. They lead 10-3, third quarter just underway. Now, Michigan's defense has played great. They've held Fresno State to about 100 yards in just the field goal. But that's the thing. We knew the defense was going to be good. The questions were about the offense. They decided to go with Warren over Orji. Orji has played some, but he's played like he played last year. They come in, they run him, they come in, throw one pass, whatever. And Warren's been I don't know what's going on. And what happened to Donovan Edwards? Donovan Edwards has like 3 carries for 5 yards in this game. Michigan can't run the ball. It's concerning. Let's see what they do here. First play of the third quarter. What are they going to do? I'm trying not to show it too much. I don't want to get put in YouTube jail. Short completion for 2 yards. Amazing. 2nd and 8. That's unbelievable. Yippity-doo. Yippee-ki-yay. I know what you're thinking. This Notre Dame Texas A&M game is boring. It is a little boring. It's 6-6 right now. A minute to go until halftime. Talking about that game this week, I kind of said it feels like this might be similar to last year's Notre Dame-Ohio State game, which, if you remember, was very low scoring. I don't think either team got into the 20s in that game, if I remember correctly. So we'll see. I did pick Notre Dame, and Michigan should be able to overwhelm Fresno State here in the second half, eventually wearing them down along the lines of scrimmage, although as I say that, it's 2nd and 7 and they rush for 0 yards. I would expect Michigan to wear them down over time here in the second half and win that game. I don't know what's going to happen here in the Notre Dame-Texas A&M deal. This looks like one explosive play either way may settle that game, but 6-6 with a minute to go. And look at this. Georgia Tech beating something called Georgia State 7-3. Georgia Tech is finding out, hey, you can't just beat up on Florida State every week. Sometimes you got to play legitimate competition. Georgia Tech is in the red zone down here, 3rd and goal from the 5, so maybe they'll score here and extend this lead. But the primetime games are just about all hitting halftime or about to hit halftime or just coming out of halftime. So figured I'd get on here, give some thoughts on what's going on in these primetime games. I did watch quite a bit of the first half of the Alabama-Western Kentucky game, and it was about like I thought it would be. Alabama's got a dominant offensive line and run game. Justice Haynes went absolutely nuts, over 100 yards in the first half. Jam Miller has looked pretty good too. And let's shout out Jaden Mildew. We give him a hard time, so when he does something good, we need to shout him out. Let's pat Jaden Mildew on his little head. Jaden Mildew did manage to complete 4 passes in the first half, so there is that. A bunch of turnovers too by it is Western Kentucky, right? I hope am I screwing that up? Anyway, Bama's completely destroying them and blowing them out. South Carolina almost lost to Old Dominion. Please tell me y'all saw that. They were down by 3, scored a touchdown with like a minute to go. Ended up winning by 4. But man, our boy Jackpot is down bad. Alabama's up 42-0, third quarter just underway there. All the woozies will be coming in a minute. Ole Miss is putting something on Furman that I can't even describe on YouTube. It's against the law. But it's 59-0 with 10.5 minutes to go in the third quarter. Ole Miss might be a problem for some people this year. They got a lot back. They finally... Here's the thing about Ole Miss, and this is really all it comes down to. What's going to happen when Ole Miss plays an elite team with elite line of scrimmage play? That's been their Achilles heel. They can't beat the Bamas, the Georgias of the world, that kind of deal. They just get dominated at the line of scrimmage against the sort of big boy teams. They've been beating everybody else. Now, they upgraded a little in the offseason, recruiting development and development and portal as well. We'll see. Hard to get a gauge on a lot of these teams. You see a lot of blowouts in week 1 by teams that end up losing 4 or 5 games. I'm not here to tell you that's happening to Ole Miss. They're too good to lose 4 or 5 games. But some of these other lopsided blowouts, we need to not get too carried away about it. But Ole Miss has looked good. 59-0, you can't deny. Kansas State 27-6 over UT Martin. That one's in the 4th. What else we got going on here that anyone might care about? Baylor 35-3 over something called Tarleton State. That's unbelievable there. Shout out Tarleton State. What else is going on? Glad you asked. Oregon. What are y'all doing? 14-0 over Idaho. And no, the game didn't just start. It's not in the first quarter. In fact, the third quarter is underway. 14-0. Oregon, not a lot of offense there. Already talked about Notre Dame, Texas A&M. Hard to get a read on this Notre Dame, Texas A&M deal. Is it two teams playing conservatively? Is it two really good defenses? Are the offenses struggling? I'm not particularly high on either quarterback here. Now, Riley Leonard's a gamer. He's a winner. He can run around. Not all that high on him when it comes to just sitting in the pocket and throwing the ball. And Connor Wegman seems like he's been around forever. A million excuses were made for him at Texas A&M when Jimbo was there, and he struggled with some injuries and things like that. But neither offense is really doing anything here so far. Now, we saw the same thing in the Georgia-Clemson game, right, today. A 6-0 game, Georgia beating Clemson at halftime. And then in the second half, we saw the better team decide they were going to put their foot on the gas, so to speak, and ended up blowing the other team out. I don't expect that in the Notre Dame Texas A&M game because honestly, I don't think either one of those teams is anywhere near as good as Georgia or has the talent or the ability to do that. But one of these teams is bound to hit a big play at some point and catch a lead. But man, Michigan 10-3 over Fresno State. Boy, Connor Stallions, they need you in Ann Arbor, quick, fast, and in a hurry. Auburn up 52-3 at halftime. This is the type of thing I'm talking about. Auburn's up 52-3 at halftime over Alabama A&M. Now look, I'm not crapping on Auburn. That's what you're supposed to do when you play a bad team, and that's what they're doing. But you can't take anything you see in this Auburn-Alabama game and go, whoa, Auburn's going to compete now. They're still a quarterback away from being able to do anything at all in the SEC with Hugh Freeze, in my opinion. UCLA, wow. The Big Ten is losing to Hawaii. Is the Big Ten down bad? Michigan struggling with Fresno State, and UCLA losing 10-0 to Hawaii in halftime. How old are y'all? I'm 46 years old. I remember back when the Big Ten used to be good. Speaking of that, did Ohio State ever end up doing anything today? I think they did, but boy, their quarterback is not good. Kentucky game got delayed. That made me mad. I wanted to see Brock Vandagriff play for Kentucky, a guy transferred from Georgia over to Kentucky in the offseason. I wanted to see him play. They're playing Southern Miss, or supposed to. There's a lot of games delayed, by the way, today for weather. This is one of them. Never even got underway. I don't know if they're going to get a chance to play it or not. Georgia Tech did score, so they're up 14-3 now over Georgia State. SMU rebounding after what I thought was maybe the most embarrassing performance of week 0 outside of Florida State, obviously, which is shit all over their own foot. SMU was lucky to escape with a win last week against an FCS team. They're beating Houston Christian right now, 35-7. Unbelievable. Anything else worth mentioning? Yeah, there is. James Madison is losing to Charlotte 7-3. You're thinking, well, what does that matter? It's James Madison and Charlotte. I put money on James Madison. I guess I'm allergic to money. I don't know. I've had a good day so far with the gambling. On the noon games, I went 2-1. I had Nebraska minus 27. They covered. I had Georgia minus 13.5. They covered. The one I missed was Virginia Tech. Wow, Virginia Tech. Forget the Big Ten. The ACC is what's really down. Holy moly. Georgia Tech, who's the best team in the ACC, is struggling with Georgia State. Can't be true. Yeah, it is true. And Virginia Tech, all this hype about Virginia Tech, and I'm guilty. I fell for it too. I'm guilty too, so I'm not pointing any fingers. And they lose today to Vandy. And look, anytime you lose to Vandy, it's a point and laugh special. So Virginia Tech, we'll see you tomorrow for sure on the Your Season is Over video. Don't worry, you'll have some company. Right, Clemson, man? Florida, man, too? Yeah, you'll have some company. You'll have some company, don't worry. You got some games coming on later. Arizona State, sort of the Washington, sort of your typical West Coast teams. Anyway, there you go. I am excited to watch the end of this Texas A&M Notre Dame game. It's on a commercial break now, so we'll have to get back to it in a little bit. But I am excited to watch the end of this Texas A&M Notre Dame game. Hopefully it gets good. Well, it is good. Hopefully we can see some points scored, though. And anyway, I'll be live tomorrow night. LSU and Southern Cal, of course, play tomorrow. At 7:30. So we'll live stream the LSU Southern Cal game. Shout out to everybody for hanging out today on the live streams, by the way. We had a great time. We did the 12 o'clock games over on Patreon, and we did the 3:30 games on YouTube. So at 3:30, we had Miami and Florida. The South Carolina game was on. We watched some of the Ohio State game. We had a really good time. And then, of course, Patreon is always unbelievable. We did the noon game, so we had Penn State and West Virginia, Georgia and Clemson. We had a great time. But tomorrow we'll be back on YouTube for LSU versus Southern Cal at 7:30. But before that, though, there will be a Your Season is Over video coming out, week 1 edition. So I'm going to do 2 Your Season is Over videos this week. We'll have one out tomorrow afternoon covering all of Thursday, Friday, and Saturday games. And then I'll do another shorter Your Season is Over video on Tuesday that covers the Sunday night game, LSU versus Southern Cal, and the Monday night game, Florida State versus Boston College. Can Florida State get off the schneid and pick up its first win of the season, or will they fall to 0-2 in the ACC? Don't know. Got to tune in Monday night and find out. I have a feeling Florida State will rebound, but we'll see. Anyway, talk to you later. Have a good morning.